Alright, so today I'm going to be doing a little product testing on this seafoam spray. This is not the one you put in the gas tank. This is the one that goes through the intake. So I'm going to be giving it a try and see how well this stuff works. So according to the instructions on the bottle, it says to warm up the engine first. So we're going to go ahead and warm up the Scion. Oops, I got to unlock it first, I guess. Alright, well, it sits here warming up. I'm going to go ahead and get all my tools and everything like that ready. Because we're going to have to disassemble part of the intake. I'm also going to look down inside the cylinders. I'll probably just pick one cylinder. Look down inside of it, see what the carbon kind of looks like in there. And then after we're done with this run, we'll do the same thing again. We'll open it up, look at that same cylinder, and go from there. Well, it's been a few minutes, and I jumped in the car to see what the temperature is like and realized this thing doesn't have a temp gauge on it. So I went to my van and I picked up my little temp gun, and let's see, right now inside the car it's 70, 69, 8, whatever. But let's pop the hood and see what the engine temp is like. There we go. Let's go open that hood up. Now what I'm looking for is a temp around 200. Right now it's 167. I'm going to see if it goes up or down. If it starts to go down, that means our thermostat's opened and we're up to temp. Looks like it dropped down to 70 or 66 here a second ago. So I'm going to keep checking it, see if it goes up or down from here. I had it about 180 a second ago. The fan kicked on, it raised a little bit, now it's been dropping. So it looks like our thermostat's opening up. So we should be good and up to temp. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the engine back off. I'm going to take off this engine cover. It's going to be hot, but I'm going to take out one of those spark plugs. I'm going to look down inside there. But what we're also going to do is take off this part of the intake right here. Because according to the bottle, we want it about 1/4 of an inch away from this throttle plate, which is right behind this throttle cable right here. So we're going to push in our tube right here. It's going to kind of J-hook back this way. But I'll show you that here in just a minute. But for now, I'm going to shut the engine off. I'm going to look inside one of these cylinders really quick and see what we're working with on whichever cylinder I end up looking at. Alright, now before I take this spark plug out, yes, the engine's very hot. No, you guys don't have to do this if you're trying to do the seafoam as well. This is just to show you inside of a cylinder, see if it changes anything, carbon deposit wise. You would just go straight to taking this off, which I'll show you guys here in just a minute. But again, I want to look inside here, see what it looks like in there first before I run any kind of cleaner through the car. Alright, as you can see down in here, the cylinder does look a little wet. It could be if the cylinder is running a bit rich. It could be a little bit of coolant in there. Could be a little bit of oil in there from rings. Could be any number of things. But there's a bit of carbon deposit in there. You can sort of see it on the top of the cylinder itself. But it's kind of interesting. You can see the the two valves that are open from the intake side, which is kind of interesting. All right, now that our camera's back out, we're going to go ahead and put our spark plug back in, coil pack back on, plug it up, bolt it in. I'm going to leave the cover off for now, and then we're going to start working on opening up this intake. Alright, now that it's back together, we're going to go ahead and start loosening up this guy right here. I'm just going to loosen up enough that we can slide this whole plastic piece off of the housing for the throttle body. And then we're going to be working our little tube in there. Hey, Alright, so I don't know how much you saw of me fighting with it. I don't know how much I got in the camera's line of view, but I had to get a screwdriver between this little metal pin right here and the intake. Started off sideways and then opened it up flat and then just kind of wiggled it back and forth. But yeah, and then kind of had to push on it this way too, but yeah, anyway. Got it off. See, there's a gap now. So, let's get that hose linked in here. It kind of makes a J-hook. So we're going to link that J-hook right in here. Kind of end up about right here with the straw. So let's get that straw ready. See, it's got this little plasticky hook. We're going to fish that in there. Alright, now that our little hook is formed with this hose, I'm going to stick it right down in here and just have it kind of sit like that as it just chills in there. Alright, so you're just going to kind of get it the best you can on there. Make sure this J-hook part stays in. And then this part obviously sticks out. We're going to run it to our bottle here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and tighten this clamp down just so I don't get too much of a vacuum leak while we're doing this. Alright, so that doesn't have to be super tight, but you do want it snug just to kind of limit the amount of air that sneaks through instead of running through the airbox like it should. Again, we're going to attach the other end of this little hose to the end of our spray here. But according to the instructions, obviously it's good to read this before you hook everything up. You're going to want to run the car at about 2,000 RPMs for the whole bottle you're going to be spraying it in. It says it takes about 7 minutes to spray the whole can in. So what I'm going to do is I got a brick. I'm going to kind of wedge it against the throttle, keep it about 2,000 RPMs. That way I can stand here and do this. Obviously, if you have another person, it would just have the other person sitting in the car while you do this part. This procedure is pretty much the same for every 4-cylinder car. It does have instructions for small engines, like if you're doing a lawnmower or something along those lines, snowmobile, whatever you got. So just read the instructions for that. But obviously today we're working with regular gas, fuel injected engines. So let's go ahead and get the car started, put our brick on, and then we're going to attach this little hose and start putting this bottle into our engine. Alright, that's about as close as I can get the RPMs to stay about 2,000. Let's hook up our bottle and start spraying this stuff in. So that was the whole can. Let's go ahead and take our brick off of the throttle, and we're gonna shut the car off. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and loosen up this bolt, take our little hose back out, and then put the intake back together like the hose is never here. Alright, now that our hose is out, we're going to put the intake back together. Alright, so we got our intake all back together. The bottle says after about 10 minutes of sitting, take it out for a drive. Try and do some spirited acceleration as much as you can. Just try and burn everything through the car. So I'm going to take this thing around the block. I don't know if I can take it out of the main road right now or not, just because I got other things going on. But I am going to take it around the neighborhood, try and burn off some stuff. So I'll see you guys here in just a minute.
There's a cake.
Watch how much smoke comes out the rear end. Want to look at that cylinder once again and see if it's changed at all, and maybe we get to see the valves again if we're lucky enough to have the intake valves open. But let's get this open. So again, we're going to go back to that same cylinder we were just looking at a minute ago and see if anything inside there has changed with the seafoam going through the whole engine. So this is a lot darker than I took out earlier. Probably because all the carbon's been flying through there. So hopefully it shows inside the cylinder too. Let's stick the borescope down in there. Now it doesn't look like much has changed in there. We were lucky enough to get the valves open again on the intake side. But yeah, for cleaning up the amount of carbon in the cylinder itself, I again don't see much change. It did produce a lot of smoke out the back end, but that could be the chemical itself running through the engine. I may just have to drive it around, see what my fuel economy is, and see if that's improved at all. Alright, let's go ahead and get our spark plug back in the spark plug hole, put our coil pack back on, and close everything back up. Alright, so as for the seafoam spray cleaner that goes through the intake system of your car, it's kind of hard to tell. Again, in the cylinder itself, not much changed. We were lucky enough to see the intake valves open both times. They didn't look like they changed much. I did get a lot of smoke coming out of the rear, as you guys saw in the video, and as I drove it around. But that could be just the chemical itself burning off and burning through the car. What I'll probably end up doing is driving this thing around a bit, see if the fuel economy has changed at all. And of course it doesn't have a fuel meter to like show me, hey, I'm getting 30 miles per gallon, 20 miles per gallon, whatever. I got to do the math every time I go to a gas station. You know, how many miles did I drive? How many gallons did I fill up? Blah, blah, blah. That probably won't end up in this video. I'll probably do it in one of my recap videos and let you know how that went. But as for this cleaner, I mean, it's only like $8, I think is what it cost me at the auto parts store. So it's not bad to go ahead and clean out the intake system / exhaust system and everything like that. You could put it in your fuel tank too. Not this one, but the other seafoam cleaner. You can throw in your fuel tank and it cleans out injectors and all that kind of good stuff. Helps them burn more efficiently, like spraying wise. But yeah, honestly, it's not bad for $8, but it's also not gonna be life-changing either. I think with the amount of smoke that comes out, it kind of tricks you into thinking that it's doing more than it really is. But it could still be doing a lot that I just don't see off of this video. Well, if you guys have any questions or comments, put them down in the comment section below and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can, but I hope this video helped. If you like any of the background music that was in this video, please check out the artist's SoundCloud. His link is in the description.